is there a ceiling? If there's a ceiling, why is there a ceiling? And can you put yourself in a position to break that ceiling?
Welcome to Culture Chats. I'm Camealia Xavier-Chihota, Marketing and Social Media Director for the Digital Voice. For Black History Month, I'll be talking to some brilliant Black figures across the ad tech industry to understand their stories, who inspired them and who shaped their journeys, what perspectives they've gained as Black professionals, and how they want to inspire future generations. So without further ado, let's welcome our first guest.
Hi, Camelia.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me, Axel.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's our second time around, and thank you so much for joining us again. I know last year you joined the Digital Voices Reclamation Conversations. To this year, we've moved it on Culture Chats. And what we want to do is have a deeper dive into some of those insights that you shared last year and get under the hood and get to know your perspectives a little bit more. So, thank you for joining me once more. The first question that I wanted to ask you was about your childhood, like early memories, just as an entry level person into the industry. Tell me more. Who's inspired you and motivated your ambitions?
Oh, that's a good question. And he would be happy when he sees this. But I've got to say, my dad. The reason I say my dad is because from a young age, he instilled in me, hard work over everything. And, there's a lot of people that kind of make their earnings or their salary stretch. Whereas he always taught me, don't make your earnings and salary stretch, but more figure out ways to do more, to do the things that you want to do, because otherwise you're not going to be happy. And what I mean by that is if your current role is not paying you what you want or what you need for your personal life, then figure out ways to improve that. Can you do better in your role to earn more money? Is there a ceiling? If there's a ceiling, why is there a ceiling? And can you put yourself in a position to break that ceiling, basically? If it means joining another company, if it means improving yourself so you can offer more professionally, then that's what you got to do. And sometimes, if it means working two jobs for a short amount of time, that's what you need to do. And basically what that does is it's showing that you're actually willing to work for what you want instead of hoping it comes or just being content.
It sounds like your dad was a really strong role model in your life. And yeah, he had that work ethic, and it seems to have rubbed off on you because obviously I can see that you've been at ESB how long now? Tell me.
For a year and 3 months, actually. I saw it pop up on LinkedIn the other day. Yeah, but a year and 3 months, and it's been a good year and 3 months at that.
Yeah, oh, that's great to hear. So from those experiences, of being brought up, a strong Black role model in your life, a male for you to look up to, what unique perspective do you think that has helped you bring into your career?
Oh, I would say that don't overthink things. And what I mean by that is I've never seen black, white, like professionally or personally, and I never use it as an excuse for my shortcomings or even my successes. And I think if something is not an issue, then don't make it an issue. And if you continue thinking that way, like as I said, I blame myself for my shortcomings and I blame myself for my successes. And it's like I always look back and think, could you have done more? And if you put your hand on your heart, can you honestly say you done everything by the book and more? And if not, then you've only got yourself to blame. And 9 times out of 10, you've only got yourself to blame.
You said blame about 10 times in that. And sometimes it's not blame. I think sometimes it's about bringing your unique lived experiences into the workplace and saying, I've got a different perspective on that, actually. And you see things differently based on, your life. So are you saying that being Black hasn't necessarily been the point of difference, but just your lived experiences? And then there's just the fact that you are Black. And maybe that's where some of your experiences came from.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't sort of put it down to being black, but more my personal experiences and the way I've always lived life, because that's the easy route out. And I'm going to say the word blame again. It's easy to blame someone else or, blame your late train or blame the fact there was traffic, blame the fact that there was riots. But actually, if you prepare yourself properly, why did you only leave yourself one train option to get to work on time? Why did you only leave yourself 10 minutes between meetings? Like, what if something happens? So if you put yourself in a good position and actually think things through,
Yeah.
then you're never going to be in that position.
I feel like I'm hearing your dad's voice come through. Like,
Yeah, my dad is one of those people that are like, I tell him, Dad, dinner's at 2 o'clock to come over to mine, and he arrives at 12. The flight takes
okay,
off at 7, he arrives at 4, and it's like,
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. That's great. Obviously, great values to instill in your child. And I think what when we think about the next generation, it'd be great to hear what advice, other than what you've just given us, what advice would you like to encourage others to step into their power?
oh, that is a tricky one, and I'm probably going to be a bit cliche here, and I'm going to say, while not ruling out self growth, always be yourself. And what I mean by that is when you get jobs, when you go for roles, when you go to do whatever in life, it's you, your individuality, and your personality that's ultimately going to get you there. So when you need to force things, or when you need to work too hard at something and something feels unnatural, then you have to ask yourself, is this really what I want? And does the reward outweigh the, we'll say, suffering? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yes to being authentic, yes to bringing your personality. But I'd also say there's a little bit of just applying personality to the situation. So the way that I speak with my parents is different to the way that I speak with my siblings, children, and my boss. So I'm always authentic. And I know that in some instances, people might call it code switching if you have to speak in a certain kind of way when you go to work to when you're with your friends. But I think it's just maybe a level of professionalism in some instances. So that's the advice I would sort of give to the next generation as well. I'm on the same page as you. Always remain yourself, but I think you need to make sure that you read the room.
And those behaviors demonstrate you as a person, right? Because if you're able to switch characters between your parents, your friends, and your boss, then actually you're identifying yourself the right behavior for the right situations. But the people that are the same, they're also their true selves, right? And that's going to work in some situations, but not every situation. So some people think that being polite or being rude is just them, so people have got to accept it. But actually, you're showing your core values deep down by doing either or, right? And it's either going to stop you in life or propel you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to be adjustable to individual situations and individual people. And I think as a salesman, you'll probably agree with me there.
Oh, 100%. And most people think that their opinion doesn't matter, or their opinion is gonna offend people. But I figured out in my 31 and a half short years of living that as long as you articulate yourself well and you're careful with your choice of words, then actually a lot of people are open to hearing your views, because we all want to learn and we all want to understand why people think a certain way. So what you'll find is people will probably agree with you and think what you think, or your mind might even change if you have an opposing view to someone.
I think so. I think if you're open-minded to hearing other people's perspectives, there's only a place for growth at the end of the day, isn't it? So, well, I feel like I've got a much better understanding of you and your dad as your inspiration. And honestly, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for joining Culture Chats with the Digital Voice, Axel.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Culture Chats. We'll be back soon with more inspiring perspectives. See you soon.